Welcome to the Word to Faith podcast. This is a podcast that focuses on all things biblical, spiritual, and getting our lives right with the Lord. We're going to go into Mark. We're going to go into Mark. What's the next chapter? Mark 5. We just previously uploaded the episode of Mark 3 and 4. So we're going to be reading Mark chapters 5 and 6. We're going to try to get through this in 15 minutes. My last one was 18 minutes. The other one is, I think, like 25 minutes or 24 minutes. So try to break these down. So, when you're on your break, you're on your lunch, you can listen to the scriptures. I'm reading the King James Version, Standard 1611. No, I'm sorry. I'm reading the original 1611 King James Version, Old English, because I just prefer to read that one. I know a lot of people don't like the Old English one because they say they don't like it's hard to read, but I don't personally find it hard to read. I've been reading it for so long. Oh, I'm sorry, y'all. I do not feel well. I don't know. I just don't feel good. That's why I'm reading the scriptures too, because I don't feel well. And reading the scriptures makes me feel better. So let's get into this before I be rambling on. So for update, just in case you're first time joining us, when I say Yeshua, I'm talking about Christ. If I say Elohim, I'm talking about the highest. I'm talking about God. I don't like saying his name because I don't feel as if I'm worthy to say his name. That's why he gave us Yeshua, because we are not worthy. He came and he died for our sins. So he's the mediator. He's the one that's going to cleanse us, cleanse our spirit, so we may be presented to the highest, to the Elohim, right? When I'm cleansed and all that, then I'll say his name for now. He is the most blessed. He is the Elohim. So when we come across words like God and Christ or Jesus, I'm going to say Yeshua, and I'm going to say the Elohim or the highest, or the King of Spirits, whatever. All right, so we are at Mark chapter 5 and 1, and it says, and they came over into the other side of the sea, into the country of the Gadareans. And when he was come out of the ship, immediately there met him out of the tombs a man with the unclean spirit, who had his dwelling among the tombs, and no man could bind him, no, not with chains. So this is a man that had unclean spirit on him. He had a demon on him. Or unclean, just an unclean spirit, whatever. It says, because that he had been often bound with fetters and chains, and the chains had been plucked asunder by him, and the fetters broken in pieces, neither could any man tame him. So this is a man, because he had these unclean spirits on him, he got unnatural strength. You ever be and look and you see these videos of people that look like they possessed and they extremely strong? There you go. It says, in always night and day he was in the mountains and in the tombs, crying and cutting himself with stones. So this man was going through it. He was in affliction. His spirit was in affliction. And when he saw Yeshua afar off, he came and worshipped him, and cried with a loud voice and said, what have I to do with thee, Yeshua, the Son of the Most High? I adhere thee by Elohim, that thou torment me not. For he said unto him, come out of the man, thou unclean spirit. For he asked him, what is thy name? And he answered, saying, my name is Legion, for we are many. So this man had a gaggle of unclean spirits on him. And he besought him much that he would not send them away out of the country. So this spirit wanted to stay inside of the country. Now there was there nigh unto the mountains a great herd of swine feeding, and all the devils besought him, saying, send us into the swine, that we may enter unto them. And forthwith Yeshua gave them leave, and the unclean spirits went out and entered into the swine, and the herd ran violently down a steep place into the sea, that they were about 2,000. Wow, this man had about 2,000 unclean spirits on him, and were choked in the sea. And they that fed the swine fled and told it to the city and in the country, and they went out to see what it was that was done. And it says, and they came to Yeshua to see him that were to see him that was possessed with the devil and had the legion, sitting and clothed and in his right mind, and they were afraid. And they that saw him told them how it befell to him that was possessed with the devil, and also concerning the swine. And they began to pray him to depart out of their coast. And when he was come into the ship, he that had been possessed with the devil prayed him that he might be with him. Howbeit Yeshua suffered him not, but said unto him, Go home to thy friends and tell them how great things the Lord have done for thee, and have had compassion on thee. And he departed and began to publish in Decapolis, Decapolis. Now I want to look that up. I'll do that later. It says how great things Yeshua had done for him, and all the men did marvel. And when Yeshua was passed over again by ship unto the other side, much people gathered unto him, and he was nigh into the sea. And behold, there cometh one of the rulers of the synagogue. His is spelled IAIRUS. I don't know if the first I is supposed to be a J, because 1611 does not have the letter J. Jairus or Iris, I don't know, by name. And when they saw him, he fell at his feet and besought him greatly, saying, My little daughter lieth at the point of death. I pray thee, come and lay thy hands on her, that she may be healed, and she shall live. And Yeshua went with him, and much people followed him and thronged him. And a certain woman which had issue of blood 12 years, this woman bled for 12 years, y'all, and had suffered many things of many physicians, and had spent all that she had, and was nothing bettered, but rather grew worse. When she had heard of Yeshua, came in the press behind and touched his garment. And she said, If I may but touch his clothes, I shall be whole. So she believed that. And straightway the fountain of her blood was dried up, and she felt in her body that she was healed of that plague. And Yeshua immediately knowing of himself that virtue had gone out of him, turned him about in the press and said, Who touched my clothes? That lets you know that when he healed people, a piece of himself left. Like because he knew that a piece of himself was gone, that virtue had gone out of him to heal someone. And his disciples said unto him, Thou seest the multitude thronging thee, and thou sayest, Who touched me? So they saying, You see all these people? You talk about who touched you. And he looked round about to see her that had done this thing. But the woman, fear and trembling, knowing that was done in her, came and fell down to her knees before him, and told him all the truth. And he said unto her, Daughter, thy faith hath made thy whole. Go in peace and be whole of thy plague. While he yet spake, there came from the ruler of the synagogue's house certain which said, Thy daughter is dead. Thou troubles thy master any further. As soon as Yeshua, so I guess the daughter must have died on the way, if they did, I don't know. As soon as Yeshua heard the word that was spoken, he said unto the ruler of the synagogue, Be not afraid, only believe. And he suffered no man to follow him, save Peter and James, and John, the brother of James. So the two brothers and Peter is the only one that went into Yeshua in there. So it was 4 people. And he cometh to the house of the ruler of the synagogue, and seeth the turmoil, and them that wept and wailed greatly. And when he was come in, he said unto them, Why make ye this ado and weep? The damsel is not dead, but sleepeth. And they laughed him to scorn. But when he had put them all out, he taketh the father and the mother of the damsel and them that were with him, and entered in where the damsel was lying. So it was just the ones Yeshua brought with him, and just the mother and the father. And he took the damsel by the hand and said unto her, Talitha Kumi, which is being interpreted, Damosel, I say unto thee, arise. And straightway the damosel arose and walked, for she was of the age of 12 years, and they were astonished with the great astonishment. And he charged them straitly that no man should know it, and commanded that that something should be given her to eat. So he said, all right, make sure she eat. All right, so we're going to go to chapter 6 now. So we're in Mark chapter 6. And he went out from thence and came into his own country, and his disciples followed him. And when the Sabbath day was come, he began to teach in the synagogue. And many hearing was astonished, saying, From whence hath this man these things? And what wisdom is this which is given unto him, that even such mighty works are wrought by his hands. Is not this the carpenter, the son of Mary, the brother of James and Joseph and Judah and Simon? Are not his sisters here with us? And they were offended at him. So he went to his own country because he was traveling abroad, and he went to his own country so he can preach. And these people was like, who is he? Who do you think he is? And it says, and Yeshua said unto them, a prophet is not without honor, but in his own country and among his own kin and in his own house. And so it's a lot of times it's those of your own household that don't see that light that's in you. And he could there don't do no mighty work, save that he laid his hands upon a few sick folk and healed them. And he marveled because of their unbelief. And he went about the villages teaching. So he was surprised that that their unbelief. And he called unto him the 12 and began to send them forth by 2 and 2 and gave them power over unclean spirits. So he called them 2 by 2 and gave them powers, right? And commanded them that they should take nothing for their journey save a staff only, no scrip, no bread, no money in their purse, but he should with sandals and not put on 2 coats. So, but he should with sandals and not put on 2 coats. And he said unto them, in what place soever ye enter into a house, there abide thee till ye depart from that place. So wherever you go to stay, that's where you're going to stay until you till you leave that particular area. And whosoever shall not receive you, not hear you, when ye depart, then shall shake off the dust under your feet for a testament against them. Verily I say unto you, it shall be more tolerable for Sodom and Gomorrah in the day of judgment than for that city. And they went out and preached that men should repent. And they cast out many devils and anointed with oil many that were sick and healed them. And King Herod heard of him, for his name was spread abroad. And he said that John the Baptist was risen from the dead, and therefore mighty works do show forth themselves in him. So they thought he was John the Baptist risen. Others said that it is Elias, and others said that is the prophet or one of the prophets. But when Herod heard thereof, he said, it is John whom I beheaded. He is risen from the dead. Because remember, they killed John. A woman wanted him to kill John, and because he made her a promise, he killed him. For Herod himself had sent forth and laid hold of to John and bound him in prison for Herodias' sake, his brother Philip's wife, for he hath married her. For John had said unto Herod, it is not lawful for thee to have thy brother's wife. So he's saying, it ain't okay for you to be sleeping with your brother's wife. Therefore Herodias had a quarrel against him and would have killed him, but she could not. For Herod feared John, knowing that he was a just man and holy, and observed him. And when he heard him, he did many things and heard him gladly. And when a convenient day was come that Herod on his birthday made a supper to his lords, his captains, and chief estates of Galilee. And when the daughter of the said Herodias came in and danced and pleased Herod. Hold up, so what? Oh, it's the daughter of the person. And them that sat with him, the king said unto the damsel, ask of me whatever thou wilt, and I will give it to thee. And he sware unto her, whatsoever thou ask of me, I will give it to thee unto the half of my kingdom. And she went forth and said unto her mother, what shall I ask? And she said, the head of John the Baptist. Now this woman is the one that slept with both brothers. And she came in straightway with haste unto the king and asked, saying, I will that thou give me by and by in the charger the head of John the Baptist. And the king was exceedingly sorrow, yet for his other sake, and for their sake which sat with him, he would not reject her. And immediately the king sent the executioner and commanded his head to be brought in. He went and beheaded him in prison and brought his head in a charger and gave it to the damsel. And the damsel gave it to her mother. And when his disciples heard of it, they came and took up his corpse and laid it in a tomb. And the apostles gathered themselves together unto Yeshua and told him all things, both what they had done and what they had taught. And he said unto them, come ye yourselves apart in a desert place and rest a while. For there were many coming and going, and they had no leisure so much as to eat. And they departed into the desert place by ship privately. And the people saw them depart, and many knew him and ran afoot thither out of the cities and unto them, and came together unto him. And Yeshua, when he came out, saw many people, and was moved with compassion toward them, because they were as sheep, not having a shepherd. And he began to teach them many things. And when the day was now far spent, his disciples came unto him and said, This is a desert place, and now the time is far past. Send them away that they may go into the country round about and into the villages and buy themselves bread, for they have nothing to eat. And he said unto them, Give ye them to eat. And they shall unto him, Shall we give and buy 200 pennyworth of bread and give them to eat? He said unto them, How many loaves have ye? Go and see. And when they knew, they say 5 and 2 fishes. And he commanded them to make all sit down by companies upon the green grass. And they sat down in ranks by hundreds and fifties. And when he had taken the 5 loaves and 2 breads, he looked upon to heaven and blessed and brake the loaves. I know that's right. And gave them to his disciples to set before them. And 2 fishes divided he among them all. And they did all eat and were filled. And they took up 12 baskets full of fragments and of the fishes. And they did eat of the loaves, were about 5,000 men. And straightway he constrained his disciples to get into the ship and to go to the other side before unto Bethsaida, I don't know, while he sent the people away. And when he had sent them away, he departed into the mountain to pray. And when even was come, the ship was in the midst of the sea, and he alone on the land. So he sent them, after he fed them, he told his disciples to go into the ship, right? And y'all go ahead a little while. Y'all go to the ship. I'm going to send the people away. So when he sent the people away, he departed to the mountain, because remember, he would go up into the mountains and he would pray. And he said, it says, and when even was come, the ship was in the midst of the sea, and he was alone on land. And he saw them tolling and rolling, for the wind was contrary unto them. So they was rowing and towing, but the wind was pushing against them. And about the 4th watch of the night, he cometh unto them walking upon the sea, and will have passed by them. But when they saw him walking upon the sea, they supposed it had been a spirit, and cried out. So when they saw Yeshua walking on the water, they cried out, because they thought they saw a ghost. For they all saw him and were troubled. And immediately he talked with them and said unto them, Be of good cheer, it is I, be not afraid. And he went up unto them into the ship, and the wind ceased, and they were sore amazed in themselves beyond measure, and wondered. And they considered not the miracle of the loaves, for their hearts was hardened. So they didn't even consider the previous miracle he just did. And when they had passed over, they came into the land of Gennesareth, and drew to the shore. And when they come out of the ship, straightway they knew him, and ran through that whole region round about, and began to carry about in beds those that were sick, where they heard he was. And whithersoever he entered into villages or cities or countries, they laid the sick in the streets, and besought him that they might touch, if it were but the border of his garment, and as many as touched him were made whole. Okay, so that's the end of chapter 6. We read chapters 5 and chapter 6. I hope you guys have a really good day. The next thing we're going to be reading is the book of Enoch. We're going to start with the book of Enoch, book 1 or chapter 1. I think it's just one book, chapter 1. I hope you guys have a good day. Like I said, enjoy your week and be blessed.